If you want to programmatically access AWS, you can use AWS access keys and secret keys. Let's now learn how to use AWS access key and secret key. So if you go into the join the user, go to the security credentials, you'll find that there's a one called access keys. Access keys are useful if your user is not a human being. Maybe it's a software that you use to access AWS. For example, you may have some situations where you want to connect into AWS from your laptop and you want to operate AWS using command line. Maybe you want to operate or invoke AWS API calls with Powershell. Alternatively, you may have situations where you need to interact with AWS using some software. So AWS provides multiple software development kit that includes Python, .NET, Java, JavaScript, Node, to name a few. So in all these cases, you may have situations where you want to access AWS. So there are two ways to go about and then access AWS in all of those situations. The one which is recommended is to use temporary credentials using secure token service assume role. That's a more advanced topic, but description to learn about secure token service assume role is given below in this video as another tutorial. The second approach is to use some static keys, which we are going to learn today. And the way to do that is to generate these static keys from here. So you can create an access key. So you just go into your IAM user, security credentials, go to access keys, and then create an access key. When you create an access key, it's going to show you once. So this is the only time that it's going to show you the secret key. You can download it as a CSV file if you want. Alternatively, you can just note it down. So here I created access key and secret key, and then I can use this one in my maybe in PowerShell, maybe in command line, maybe in my software development kits. So if I close this, there's no way that you can go there and then view that access key. You can also create another access key. So this is important, especially when you want to rotate keys. An example would be if I create another access key, it's going to show me this. It will show you this one and then close it. So I have like two access keys. As you can see that once I created two access keys, there's no way I can create another access key. The only way to do that one is to delete an existing one. You can either delete an existing one or alternatively you can make it inactive. If you make it inactive, nobody will be able to access using these keys as long as the status is inactive. You can always make it active if you want, so that it will be active and you can use it again. But if you completely delete it, the key is lost and you will no longer be able to use that key. It's important to remember like how you maintain these access key and secret keys. Usually it's not recommended to use them for a long time, because if you leak them, then whoever have access to this access key and the secret key can access your AWS account and get the permissions defined by these policies attached into the IAM user. Alternatively, if the user is a part of a group and you create some access key and secret key, all the permissions of that group is something that those who own these access key and secret key can get access to. Let's now go for a demo and then see how to use this access key and secret key in a real environment. Let's first delete this. I don't need it. I'm going to create a new access key and secret key. I'm going to note it down. So I have my access key and secret key. That's all good. So the next thing is to go into my AWS EC2 section of the console and then use this. You can use it with your laptop if you have Amazon PowerShell install or SDK install or any of AWS CLI install. It can be a Linux environment, Windows instance, or alternatively can be even a Mac operating system. I have this development machine already set up. If you don't know how to set up a simple development environment on AWS, look at the description of this video. I have given another simple example how to start this dev machine Windows instance with some software already installed. Feel free to have a look in that. That will allows you to spin up this EC2 instance. Alternatively, you can do this exercise on your laptop, provided that you have your Amazon command line interface or Amazon PowerShell is installed. Let's connect into this. Get the RDP connection, download the remote desktop connection. I type in my password and I'm going to log in into the account. So I have logged into my account. Because I'm using an EC2 instance in this demo, this EC2 instance has an IAM role attached into that. So if you go into your instance, you will see that because I use the simple development environment I have created in one of my previous video, you can see if you go into the security, it has an IAM role already attached. Now this role provides access to certain AWS services. Because our objective here in this lesson is to use our identity access key and secret key, make sure that these roles attached into that does not have access, that does not give access to Amazon S3. So if you look at here carefully, you can see that as of now, this one allows certain S3 operations. So therefore, what I'm going to do is to remove these permissions. We will come to later how to use EC2 instance roles in this tutorial. For the moment, if you have any permissions attached into this role, remove that so that your EC2 instance does not have access to these services. Now that's all good. So my instance role, which I have here, my dev machine role, does not have any permissions. We will learn about IAM role later in this tutorial. So until then, for the moment, just imagine that this role does not have any permissions. Alternatively, you can completely remove this role attached into the instance. If you go here, you can see modify IAM role. You can completely no IAM role, that will remove the IAM role attached into this. IAM role is a bit of an advanced topic, but we will learn it later in this tutorial. So as of now, it doesn't have one. So let's go into my machine that I started. Let's go into the PowerShell. So there is, if you start an EC2 instance, you will find Windows PowerShell for AWS. If you open this, it will load modules related to AWS PowerShell. So PowerShell is one of the languages that we expose all our APIs. So having said that, we will wait until it accesses and then try to access AWS using the secret key and access key I created a moment ago. If you are doing this experiment in your laptop, you can always use AWS tools for PowerShell. Just install this one, and then you can use this. You can also use AWS command line interface to do this experiment. So I started PowerShell. So let's go into this folder, clear the screen. So one of the command that I can execute is called get S3 buckets. So this pretty much lists down the buckets I have in my account. Because this does not have any access, because I already removed the permissions attached into the EC2 role, this command does not have enough permissions to access it. Having said that, I can use the access key and the secret key I generated a moment ago to get access to S3. Now remember that IAM user John has access to Amazon S3 full access, and the security credentials I'm going to use here is this access key and the secret key I saved when I created this. You can now provide the access key here, which is this one. So make sure that you save this access key and secret keys. And the secret key is the secret key I saved. which is this one. Now let's see what happens when you get S3 bucket. As you can see that it lists down the 3 S3 buckets I have in my account. So this is how you will use access key and secret key. Of course, these are static keys, so they are not secure. They can easily leak through logs output, or if you accidentally commit them into Git repository through your code, they can be lead into some security vulnerabilities. So that's why usually it's not recommended to use access key and secret keys, because they are static values. You should always try to use STS assume role or dynamic access key and secret keys, and how to use them is given in another video given in the description of this video. But you got an idea around how to use access key and secret keys. Now let's say I make this access key inactive. So if I make it inactive, let's go there and then try to access using the same command. You need to give a few seconds, don't try to do it immediately. So let's try to do that now. You get an access key that's saying the AWS access key ID you provided does not exist in our record. So it gives an error. But let's now try to go there and then make it active again. And then try to access the service again. So get S3 bucket, access key and secret key, and then try whether it will work. As you can see, it started working again. But if you delete that access key and secret key, you will no longer be able to use these keys. The other type of keys you can create under IAM user is for AWS code commit. So this is useful, for example, if you are using a Git repository like AWS code commit and you want to use some methods to interact with AWS, but using Git HTTPS API. So you just create some credentials, and that gives you a username and a password for John the user. So when you are using AWS code commit, just you can use this username and password when you try to commit some changes into your code. So I will not go into details. It's a pretty straightforward method. And also there's another one called credentials for Amazon Keyspace. But widely used one is usually this access key and the secret key. And this is where, especially as a beginner, that you should focus on.